Hello, everyone. Welcome to the December 2022 State of the Market. I'm here with my pal Al. What's up, Al?
Hey Bill, how you doing? Hanging in there?
Yeah,
Yourself?
doing well. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. 2023. Gonna be
Yeah,
big.
yeah. We'll see what happens. Could go any direction, so it'll be interesting to see. But we had one more data point, or a few more data points for 2022. And I think there is a trend. I think there is a little auction fatigue. Just so much was being listed because of the World Cup that I feel like we're still getting, I don't know, it's relative deals compared to like what they were selling for earlier in the year. But who's to say those are deals, right?
Right.
So I guess we'll find out this year. Anything specific you noticed, or kind of the same thing?
Yeah, not really. I mean, nothing big that comes to mind as like cataclysmic. I think anecdotally a little bit of some bounce back and some mid grade messy stuff, is one thing that I think that I saw. I still also think that the still rarer pieces continue to do well generally, but it also kind of depends on demand. It could be there's much more hit or miss,
Yeah.
So I think that's basically it. I mean, I think any way you cut it from an economic perspective, 2022 started the year incredibly strong. And after the first quarter, like many asset classes, I was just looking at Tesla Tesla stock, and just crazy. It had a precipitous fall after first quarter all the way down through the end of the year. So is it a falling knife? You never know when you're at the bottom. That doesn't proclaim itself, but I'm feeling pretty good about these levels. Lots of cards, especially low grade, more obscure players, can be had at pre-pandemic prices. So I think it's great for collectors, and I'm looking forward to 2023. That's kind of my big takeaway so far of the close of the year.
Yeah, I think that's pretty close to what I see. It is interesting because there's things that we felt like were pretty rare, and some of the prices just maybe didn't pull what we expected. So yeah, I think the demand thing is probably more of the bigger issue right now.
Yeah.
I wonder, we've always talked about, how World Cups kind of bring more demand. Usually for vintage, it's a little delayed after the World Cup because it's just, people get, it's just the fact that there's more people getting into the hobby, and we just don't know how long that takes to trickle down to vintage. And it's definitely at a lower percentage than like pre-modern or modern.
Right.
So I guess we'll see how it affects us moving forward, but it's not something I would be banking on, if I'm a seller, or, it's something that I think when you look back 5 years and you kind of see, you might notice a difference, but I'm not sure it's going to be like material, like what we saw, in prior years. So so we had a few auctions. I think Golden had two. And then we had the PWCC Premier auction. So I'm thinking maybe we'll start out at Golden for their monthly auction, and then go to the Elite, and then go to PWCC Premier.
Yeah. Which I think in the Premier, PWC Premier, there's only like 3 cards, right? Was I check that right? Or am
I
I
have the
thinking of a
tab up,
different one?
but I'm not certain.
Okay.
Okay, so All right, so here's the monthly auction from Golden, and it looks like there was this had 266 items.
Yeah.
So that was the biggie. But of course, it's not the elite. So these are a little bit smaller cards, but there was the 101 Messi, went for just under 100K.
Yeah. How did you think? I mean, I know that's not where we normally spend our time, but 1 of 1 Prism year that he wins the World Cup. I think it was a PSA 7, if I'm not right, or maybe it was a 9.
PSA 9.
Yeah. Okay. So what did you think of that?
I mean, it's cool that it's the actual world, Prism World Cup. So that is interesting. I mean, I really don't know like what the market is for normal 1 of 1s. I did see somebody mention in the Discord that people thought it could go for anywhere between 100 and 200. So it got pretty close. I'm just not sure. Like, I mean, I mean, whoever won it, I mean, that's a pretty damn cool card, right? You got the Prism
Totally.
101, and it's the year Messi won it. So,
because I think there was the gold 2014, different dynamic. The 1 of 10 golds have this weird mystique about them.
yeah.
And that went for what, 250 or even more, maybe.
Oh wow.
And so in a way, like, which card would I rather have? I think I'd rather have this one.
Yeah, I think I agree. I mean, I know that there's definitely that gold hype.
Yeah.
And certain people were really pushing that. And I mean, people obviously believe it, or they wouldn't be paying those premiums, right? So, I think with us not understanding the dynamics of the markets, I think just from a further back perspective, yeah, I agree. Like, I would rather this at 40% of the other one. I do get the 2014 Prism being, like the first kind of higher end set and that sort of thing. So I can appreciate that, and maybe long term that will be a really, the one that's always in real high demand. But I can't imagine that this thing is not gonna appreciate at a similar clip as that will moving forward. And it has more runway, I would argue. So
I would too. So
yeah, anyway. Pretty interesting. Then we go all the way down to like 20s into the 20,000s. So a pretty sizable drop into more modern cards, some of the flawless autos. Then we get to BGS 9 Messi BIS for 10K. I mean, it's just crazy to see those prices. I don't know what that is going compared to like market before the World Cup, but it feels like it's not that much of a premium.
No, I don't think it's that much of a premium. It's just, I'd say, a slight tick up or stopping the downward fall that's been going on for the last 12 months.
Looks like we have some kits here, some shirts. Let's see. Was there much vintage? I didn't even really notice.
I mean, some cards that we've talked about from time to time, like this Ronaldo right there.
Yeah, that's a 6.5 for 3,000.
Yeah. So, which 6.5 is a pretty high grade for that card.
Yeah.
So that's
dropped quite a bit.
That card's dropped a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, my internet is doing incredibly well, or this could be a golden.
Yeah.
I would argue it's probably golden.
Yeah.
All right, Ronaldo 5 for 2,500, 2,600. It's a BGS 9.5.
Look at the gold Neymar from 18. I mean, 2,200, right? So those golds still have some mystique around them for sure. Yeah.
Ronaldinho 5 for 2K. So I mean, we've just seen a lot more of these coming out.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's the same ones getting recycled. I haven't really taken a real close look, but I think that
But
the
it,
populations have gone up a fair amount.
yeah, and they've also been around like a 5 right around that 2000, some 1800, some 2400.
Okay,
A lot of it, the little premiums present on the centering because the
gotcha.
5s have pretty varying centering on them.
Yeah. And I mean, would you say that this is a pretty common grade? Like, would you say this is kind of the middling grade?
I'd say the middling grade. I haven't looked at the pops recently. I would have said before 3s or 4s.
Mm,
Now I'm probably going up to 4s.
yeah. All right. Hmm. PSA 6 Ronaldo rookie sticker for 1100.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good deal to me.
Yeah, I feel like that. I'm gonna start looking at them at that price.
Yeah, and here you have the two versions, the regular one and the tan one.
Yeah,
And these I mean, PSA holders are the holders I would buy these in.
totally. Yeah. And I see somebody on the Discord has a 7 for sale right now. So if anybody's interested in one, you might want to look on the Discord. Geez, another 6 for 1,000. I mean, yeah, these are definitely getting into the prices where I'm willing to start throwing some money around.
Yeah, look at that, a 4 for 1,000.
Yeah,
and then the 3 6s for 1,000.
Yeah, it seems. I don't know if it looks super clean. Maybe the centering looked pretty decent. Another 4 for 780. So there's a lot of them being sold right now. I think everybody's just a little nervous about, the concerns with some reprints out there and some of them getting graded. But I haven't really heard anything with PSA. So like I feel like I'm pretty comfortable taking the risk there. Because I mean, there's not that many graded, right? Like we just saw 6 of them listed.
Yeah, no, and I think there's more. Let me see.
Yeah, here's another one.
Yeah, I think there was. Yeah, that was super low grade though. That one.
Yeah, 1.5. But even to get one for $500, I mean.
Yeah. I'm gonna pull up the pop report on it while we're going through, because a lot of this stuff obviously was modern, ultra modern.
Yeah, I mean we're getting down to $400. So
yeah, and here we're at there's a Carlos rookie,
Roberto Carlos, yeah, for 400. That seems lower. Like I always keep an eye on him because he's like one of my favorite players, from that era, and that's low for his. Regardless of the grade, I think it was like what was it like? Let me go back.
Yeah, so right now, there's 197 graded.
So 200 graded, and there's 7 in this auction.
Yep.
I mean that's crazy.
And those were, of those, there's 22 10s.
Okay.
19 9s, another 16 9s with qualifiers, which are probably off center.
Yeah.
So those are really probably more like 6s or 7s. 38 8s and 39 7s. So you're
at the median, basically, right?
Yeah. So if you're at a 6,
you're
7,
under the median.
Yeah. If you're at a 6, you're right around, the bottom of the median. You're at a 7, you're kind of at the top.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. So it's well, I guess you got the other 16. So yeah, maybe the median is a 7 when everything's said and done, depending how you treat those qualifiers.
Right. Like if you go down 2 grades, then it would be a 7.
Yeah, if you go down 3, then
you'd be maybe at the top of the 6s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez, like these 8s used to sell for like $1,500.
Yep, totally. And now $200.
Yeah.
Like that 6. Look at that rookie over there, $220. 6 in the 62.
Yeah, it was probably what 1,500 also.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably right. At least 1,000. So there's been, I mean
the
a lot
black
of retraction.
jersey one always carries, or this one usually goes for a premium compared to the other ones. But I mean, what's a premium now? Like 50
Right. So
bucks.
again, really good collector market. Lots
Yeah.
of modern stuff out here you can pick up. You know, especially if there's no demand, that stuff will tend to get crushed because it has naturally more supply than some of the vintage stuff.
Yeah, we're at $100. I don't think we're gonna go any further.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a little. I mean, for vintage, there just wasn't much there. So I mean, we got through 266 items in like 10 minutes. So look at this. We're gonna be done in 20 minutes.
Nothing. I mean, again, we're not super modern collectors, but nothing that I'd call like super elite.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's some nice pieces in there, some
But like
unique
mid
pieces.
grade of the better items, and
Yeah,
just nothing
I mean,
that's gonna like pull the bids out of people. Yeah. Like I feel like my bidding is even tightening up a little bit. Like where I'm spending my money now. So like I know it's probably just across the market that's the case.
I mean, it has to be. I mean, the Fed is intentionally taking money out of the economy, right? So
Exactly, yeah.
it has to. That's the theory, right? Trickle down to all of us to a certain extent.
All right, here is the elite auction for December, and I just have it sorted by highest price.
Yeah.
There's only 22 soccer items, so more Prism. Like, what were these cases going for back in the day? Like,
I feel like that was low, and I honestly considered researching that and deciding if it was worth a bid.
yeah,
Ultimately, I didn't have the time, but it seems like that's very low. I think the boxes at some point were going for like 10,000, 8,000, something like that.
that's what I thought. Yeah. So,
So
like, I was thinking it would be
12
closer to
boxes.
100 at some point.
Yeah. So 12 boxes, 800 would be like 100 grand. Yeah.
Yeah.
8,000, right?
8,000. Yeah.
So look at, and there's an 18 gold that went for 25 grand.
Yep. Out of nets out of 10. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I would definitely prefer. I think it's the 2014 gold or it's the 2022 101. Like those
Yeah.
are the 2018 is kind of a no man's land in my opinion. But
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then the BIS there, that the last few had traded in the upper 30s, low 40s. So this one going for 24. Now it didn't have 9.5s across the board,
right.
but 24 seems like a decent price for that card.
Yeah, good to get in at that price, right?
I think so.
Well, we'll see.
Right?
Another gold select Messi for 8, 2018. That's a pretty cool patch.
That is cool.
These seem to have dropped too, like the Eminence Maradonas, or am I missing?
No, I think that's that's right. I mean, they were up a couple thousand more. I
like
would
8
say.
grand-ish, maybe.
Yeah, 7, 8, I'd say. You can finally get your sapphire boxes back for 7, 800.
Sweet. Yeah, those things were just, that was during the heart of that's during the heart of the boom, and like
Totally.
just the like Fati and Hollins were just going for what, like $1,000, and if you got one, you could pay for the box or something.
Yep. And usually they'd have them both because
Yeah.
the checklist is so small.
Yeah.
Get one with color, and you're on the other side of victory.
So Ray says that I accept offers on eBay and I don't pay. That's very true. So I had a card listed, and I was watching a card that was similar, which happened that I didn't realize it was Ray's. And on my phone, I had just left a Christmas party, and I was a few drinks in, and so I see that there's an offer for like a certain amount, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll take it. Well, I didn't realize that I actually committed to buy one, not to sell mine. And so I send this message, and then I just get a DM in the Discord, like, you jerk, and so I don't drink much anymore. So when I have a few drinks in me, I'm a little loose with the trigger.
Fingers.
Yeah. So sorry about that, Ray. But I'm glad it was you and not a random.
Couldn't have happened to a better person.
So so that was golden already. I mean, so just a lot of kind of modern, pre-modern stuff, and just no vintage, right? Like, so I don't know how to read into that. It's I mean, I guess it's a good thing that we're not just seeing it keep getting recycled, the same ones. That means that people are probably holding on to some of the items. And also that people aren't willing to sell other items, so like, I think, and maybe it's just that people are less willing to sell through the auction houses.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've been thinking about this a lot, what this means. And I think eBay has a good opportunity to recover a lot of market share. It's going to be one of the things I talk about in my 2023 video, forecast for 2023. But, I just feel like anything that's not elite in either PWC or Golden is no longer getting the full gamut of eyeballs they need for a successful auction.
Yep.
And that leaves the only house in town to be eBay.
Yeah.
And eBay does get the eyeballs.
I mean, I've noticed a lot of people pulling like immediately when the auction ends on PWCC, within a week, the same item getting listed on eBay. And I think that a lot of people are seeing that and just deciding to move their stuff back to eBay. So it'll be interesting to see moving forward, because the vault's a great thing. And I mean, eBay has a vault now, but their fees are really high, at least in comparison to the collector's vault and PWCC's vault. So I'm not sure I'll personally use the eBay vault, but I can see people who are international, or people who just don't want to have to deal with it, or they don't need their wife knowing what they have, or whatever, using eBay vault.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're going to see it just kind of happen. It just seems like there's quite the move from those.
Yeah,
but it's a great time to buy in those auction houses, in my opinion. So
I would love to see kind of their consolidated numbers by category.
Yeah.
Over the last few months, and I have to believe that in the boardrooms of all those companies, from PSA to SGC to CSG to PWCC, Golden, CU, there has to be a level of concern, and contingency planning right now, because it's just they ramped up for all this infrastructure for continued growth, and it's doing an incredible, getting thrown into reverse. We're going 70 miles down on the freeway, and now it's like to reverse.
Yeah, we're seeing the skid marks
we're
going.
And the gearbox is jamming, and just like we're just taking out the transmission as we go. And then what's going to happen here, in the future? There's just a lot of tough decisions people are going to be looking at, and I think that that it's just going to be fascinating to see how bad does it go.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be the time where that whoever figures it out quickest is going to have a huge advantage over the other auction houses, just because like people now, the demand isn't there, like you say. So it's like people are going to just go, okay, who's going to treat me the best? And, you know, there's definitely been some struggles with website problems. You know, some people have had problems getting responses from the companies. So like, I think that like, you know, whoever cleans that up the quickest could retain more customers. But yeah, I think eBay is just like, all right, here we are. You know, like we know what we have. The customer knows what we have. So good luck to you guys. So
yep. And yeah, so it's going to be fascinating. I mean, we could be wrong. They could stub their toe on the vault integration.
yeah.
You know, the sales tax on the eBay piece is, you know, the reality for most transactions, right? Until you're going to the vault, but you're getting another set of fees there. So there's still maybe a window for the vaults.
Yeah.
But it's just 2023 is going to define a lot of things. And you know, another thing that I talk about in my 2023 video is the battle of the vaults, right? Because
Sure.
you know, some you need scale to be successful, and then what happens if you don't hit it? It's just costs, and after a while, you're not going to be willing to take the costs. And all of them effectively are running startups, except for PWCC, which had the foresight to do this ahead of time.
Right. Yeah, I'm really intrigued just to see where we head. So I think 2023 is going to be pretty fun. And yeah, everybody, I imagine if you're subscribing to this channel that you subscribe to Al's channel, but if you don't, be sure to go over to his channel and click the bell so you get updates when Al does one of his wonderful programs.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my pleasure, buddy. And all right, so we're gonna shoot over to well, hold on. Like, so where are here's a comment. Where are the rare pre-war cards? I can't spend the money I save for the specific few cards I want. Kind of wild waiting as long as you have to. I expected to see more with us coming out of pandemic market. I mean, this is kind of how it was back in the day. Like for us, it's just this is what vintage soccer collecting is, and you should feel actually it's probably going to be the same, right? Because you have more competition, but the cards are coming available maybe a little bit more frequently. So actually, you're probably working at a disadvantage than we did, but we had to be very patient because you just never knew when something especially rare was ever going to be even brought to like eBay or somewhere that we were even looking. So patience is the name of the game, right?
Yeah. We talked about this at length about on the premium last week, where we said, listen, you know, right now the market had expected to see an Alifa Pele, you know, once or twice a month, which has been the status quo for the last 2 years. We haven't seen one in a number of months. There's one in the upcoming premiere.
Well, a 2 just ended on eBay for $30K.
Okay, so and then there's a 4 in the premiere, right? But my hypothesis is that you're going to see less and less of these rare cards because, you know, there's no, you know, the Lorati Mesa, which is a pretty rare card, shows up, sells raw for, you know, 8K, graded one sells for 40K, next graded one sells for 75K, and then they start to come out, right? I mean, we talked a lot about the Baggio Forza Goal. You know, I didn't see one of those for 5 years, right? And then if you were to look at the last PWCC auction, you know, over the last 6 months, you'd think these things are as common as anything else, right? because there's been 5 or 6 of them sell, and the total pop's 10. So you need to, I think that really we're going to see a return to the way things used to be, and that means that rare cards are indeed rare. I'm not talking like every card's a Baltimore News Ruth that trades, once every 4 or 5 years, but a lot of the cards are like that. And so you won't see some of this rare stuff because there's no longer a catalyst for them to come to market.
Yeah.
And since we've now turned into a collector's market, it's not a flipper's market, that creates less liquidity, because when they land in a collector's home, what do? They collect them. They don't go to sell them next month.
Or even, and then if they do decide to sell, and they're waiting to sell when the market just flips. So right
now I actually foresee, just not a ton of reason for the really, really rare elite cards, pre-war cards, to come out. Right. And if you look at what happened with the Dixie Dean in the PWCC, we were all thinking about, wow, those cards, that maybe is a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 card. Wouldn't be surprised, which it would have probably been 6 to 12 months ago, and it pulls in $5,000, and it's pop 18 or whatever. You're gonna, why would you sell it?
Exactly. When are you going to see the next one? Unless somebody's really hard up for, or they just need that money. So I'm looking forward to this. Like, I mean, it's almost nostalgia to me.
I'm looking forward to it as well, but I can see how that's frustrating for a lot of people, especially, if you're not patient. Like, it took me 20 years to build my Negro League collection, and it's still not completely done. Yeah. And it was exactly that patience. And I know that's not for everyone. Like, people need, it's like a drug. What can I buy this week? What can I buy next week? What can I buy? But this is much more of a long game, waiting, keeping your money off to the side, resisting this temptation to get all the, easy stuff that's available all the time, and waiting to pounce on the card that you want when you want it. And if you have to overpay, I generally have found I've almost never regretted overpaying for that elite card that I wanted in my collection.
And we're kind of getting into that market now where overpaying is such a different level than what it was, that, like, I think, if you're in it like for a decade, like I feel comfortable paying up now. Yeah. Like 2 years ago, I'm not saying that, but so here's a follow-up. Makes it super fun. Just really wild to me how little there seems to be. Almost hard to believe there's 0 people finding the card randomly during a year wanting to sell. I enjoy the wait, fully embrace it.
I mean,
well, that's good.
You have to do that to enjoy this hobby, right? Because, I mean, but yes, I understand. It's like, why aren't they around? Like, I see 1950s baseball cards all the time, but just remember, if you're waiting for the Mario Coluna rookie, not that many people are looking for him. It's in a country of Portugal, it has 5% of the population the U.S. does at the same time. Economically, it's worse off. So, it's going to have 3% of the pop, in the best case scenario. Right.
Yeah.
And so, one of the great things about this is these pops will ultimately show that almost all soccer on a relative basis is incredibly scarce.
Yeah.
Just because of the regional nature. It's like, we like, the regional sets for baseball. You've got, I'm trying to think of one, like,
there was a Tigers one that I remember back in the day that was really, it was like I think it was like the 52 tops or something, but it was like a Detroit regional by a hot dog company.
Right. So you get or like a Cons or
Cons, yeah.
Yeah. So you get something like that. And literally every soccer issue is like a Cons. It was like in Germany, some in bigger markets, New York,
sure.
but other ones in obscure markets, San Diego. You got the what are those ice cream ones? It doesn't matter. The point is that every issue is like the regional issues
Yeah.
for baseball.
And everybody wants those because they have the PCL.
Yeah, and they're so rare, and that they're on a relative basis that they become attractive. Yeah, the PCL Pacific Coast League. Yep. So you get like I don't know what the point being is that the pops are going to resemble these regional sets.
Yeah.
Not a top set.
But those are the high demand items. So it's like a regional set, but it's like the Ty Cobb. You know what I mean?
Only one, it's the only one that has the rookie of the star.
Yeah. So it's just crazy. Like,
yeah. So that's the dynamic, and that's why in the long run, this is a fantastic place to play if you think there's going to be more and more interest, because we're sitting here saying, man, that even the 2002 Ronaldo sticker, I mean, just fathom this 2002 Ronaldo sticker. We just looked up the pop, 200 at PSA. How many Ken Griffey 1999 Upper Deck cards?
Oh my God.
Like 50,000?
1989 Upper Deck.
Right. So it's just like it, to me, it still just blows my mind. And that's 2002. Go backwards another 50 years to the 1950s. And it's even
94,000.
94,000
Griffies
against 200.
And I would say that they're like, and I mean, Griffey was like the guy back then. So it's like,
okay. But
that's the point. Yeah. And Ronaldo is the
guy, right?
Yeah. Like,
right. 71 bits Messi's, how many of them are there?
So 600? Even if there ends up being a 5x of the it's still 1%.
1%.
Yeah.
Right. And this is a fact that is still lost on so many people.
Yeah, the perspective, right? Like
this perspective. Now, of course, we're also comparing to the Griffey card because
demand
is one of the iconic ones, and we know that pop's going to be huge and all that type of stuff. Okay, so then you can not go down a bit and say, what about Derek Jeter? I bet that's still 30,000.
Yeah,
I bet that I mean, shit. Even the MJ rookie probably has 20,000. 86 Fleer, right? So, of which probably like 410s or something like that. So keep that in mind. 410s. The Ronaldo one that we had up here on the screen has like 22. Right. So anyway, I don't know how we got off on that, but
well, it's just about the fact about finding pre-war for sale, and
and that's 2002. The pre-war stuff, a ton of different sets are going to be way harder than that.
Yeah. All right, let's shoot over to PWCC Premier or Premium, or which one is it? Premier. And looks like we have about 13 items. So here's a BGS 9.5, also BIS for 24,000. So very similar to the one we saw at Golden. Also doesn't have all 9.5s. Here's some vintage finally for us to talk about. PSA 6 Vav Pele rookie, which is a great grade for that.
Yeah, that's the highest grade.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to me is that right-hand side always seems to be like somebody took an eraser to it. Yeah. I always wondered about that. I'm like, is that just somebody did that because there was a mark? But it seems like they all have that. Like there's just some ink issue for that printing.
I think it's a low price for how rare the rookie is and the good condition that it's in.
Yes.
That said, I like this card better than the market appears to.
Same.
So I am a bit surprised, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised because I know the market prefers some of the other Pele rookies. But if you ask me, do I want this 6 or an Aquarella 6? I'll take this 6 every day. But that's me.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think that, I'm hoping or banking that people will, honestly any Pele at this point. Like, I think, but this is just such a rare issue, and to have the top graded one. I mean, I'm sure we'll find some that come out that maybe have a higher grade than that at some point. Um, somebody has to have a bunch of them just in a box somewhere that has never been banged around or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, even so, like if this is the fifth best one, I mean, I still think this is a great
Yeah.
great price relative to some of the others. All right, we
And
have
then,
a PSA 9 Platini that went for 10K. That's seems light compared to like what it is,
yeah, and I think it's been in the 12 to 14 range, if I'm not wrong, the last few times. So another little bit of depression. This topped out at 50
Yeah.
in the spring. So that's crazy to see this degradation here, but yeah, I mean, and the Gazetta I just think is totally not deserving of that price. I hate the cut on this one, and I don't get it, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually smart to cut it that way, because it gives you room, but um but yeah, I mean, we've kind of said our piece on that before. So we got a Ronaldo BGS 9.5, also around 24. So it seems like they kind of paired up there, the Messi and the Ronaldo.
Yep.
PSA 8 Alifa team card with Pele for 7,200. Those were pulling, I think, like 20 or something back during the peak. But I mean, it is a team card. It's still a really good price. I mean, but a really good grade. I don't know. I really don't know what to say about those because you're very limited, in my opinion, and the buyers because it's a team card. So
Yeah, I would rather be the seller there than the buyer.
yeah,
Even though I know this is a depressed price from where they were, but
yeah,
but that's my take on it.
yeah. I feel pretty good. Like I would almost rather flip that into like the Bremer team card
Yeah,
and a lower grade and just take the difference.
yeah, I would agree with you on that.
All right, and then a Quiggle Pele rookie 5. I really didn't inspect that too much, but 10K seems low for a 5.
Yeah, I think it was pretty poorly cut, if I remember this one right. Like there was
Okay.
part of the other
Well, I
card
guess I
on the
can
side.
click because that's really the last thing.
Oh, yeah, on the right hand side, you see how part of the next card's in there. It doesn't look like they caught it.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's
but
see what
still, I thought this was a nice copy, all things considered. I think it's a light price for a card of that grade.
And then here's another case. So somebody was selling these, and it got about the same amount. So of the Panini Prism. So yeah, not a lot this month, but I guess that kind of makes sense with the holidays, and we just had the World Cup, and there are so many items that um, I think people just. I mean, I know I am not digging into the auctions like I was.
Yeah, it's just fatigue. And then
Yeah.
the weeklies had one closing on Christmas and
Yep.
the other one on New Year's. I mean, it's like, dang.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it's just we had a request to go over some of the weekly. I'm not sure we're gonna do that. But is there anything from the weeklies that you noticed? There was like some vintage, some pre-war stuff, like some Meredith. There was that I think it was a PSA 6 Bassett from the 1896 set.
yeah, where did the Bassett go?
Um
600, 800, something like that.
oh no, I'm pretty sure that was in the thousands, wasn't it?
Okay, because I had bid on it, I think up to like 500, and then I didn't follow up where it ended up going.
I
Yeah,
could be completely off. I don't know.
there were some. There was a decent Meredith. What the Meredith Clark I think went for a couple thousand. Um, Let me see here. See what I can find.
This is where the good TV starts.
Yeah, this is where it all just kind of splinters away from the
Yeah.
plan. But the reality is, there were some decent results in pre-war. I felt it wasn't great. Okay, so there was just a regular Wills that sold for 1260. Oh, this is the end of November. So yeah, the December ones aren't in the history here yet.
Okay, so there was the Godfrey Phillips sold for 1260. The PSA 6, the 1896 Bassett.
Bassett, okay.
Yeah. Then there was a 1900, the Cricketers and Footballers, Geo Smith, PSA 5 that sold for just under 2,000. There was a Three Nuns Bloomer that sold for 3,000. PSA 4 was pretty.
It was off
miscut.
center though,
Yeah, but I mean, when are you going to get a chance to buy one of those? So,
off center in an annoying way, but still, it was
yeah.
poor.
There's a Meredith at Work, Ogden's PSA 1 that sold for 1,200. Will's Meredith PSA 5 that sold for 930. A Will's Bloomer PSA 4 that sold for 800. The Clark Meredith PSA 4.5 for 2,250.
Yeah, that was the one I remember. 2,250. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's I would say the multiplier being what 2.5.
Yeah, and the other ones are selling for 1,000.
Yeah,
so yeah.
I would definitely prefer the Clarks relative. I think just because Clarks are so much more difficult to get.
Yeah.
One that impressed me actually was the Taddy Ernest Needham PSA 4 sold for 1,000.
Yeah.
So I think it's just because we don't see Taddies up for sale too often, especially in the mainstream market.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was some nice items recently. 1909 Cup Tie Meredith. 1912.
What did that pull?
That's 1,100. Which is and as a 4, which is a decent grade, especially because of the black border.
Yeah, those tend to be beat up too.
Yeah.
All of them seem to have kind of dirty-ish backs to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if they came in direct contact with the tobacco.
Could be.
That's what creates it, but they always seem to be dirtier than I expect.
Yeah.
From other issues. So yeah.
So yeah, there's some there's 1912 Smith's Meredith and also a Bloomer mid-grade for right around $1,400. First time I actually saw some of those 1915 Spanish cards up for auction. They were PSA 1s. They didn't sell for much.
Like $100 or $200.
$64 each of them. So yeah, that gets us to 1920. So I don't recall there being too much else. Oh, there's those dolars of the Brazilian players that all sold. For decent prices, I guess. Those are fun to watch. But other than that, not too much.
I mean there was just some sprinkled stuff in there, but I generally feel like it there hasn't been a ton of crazy stuff out there.
It was nice to see a little bit of the pre-war stuff from the UK that pulled okay money, but like even at those prices, I'm like, man, I'd just rather hold, but I get if it's not something that interests you and you were kind of just buying them because, they were kind of tougher to get and it was, maybe you could flip them. Hopefully you did well if you're watching this and but yeah, those are ones I like at those prices, like nothing was like, oh my God, like I would I'd sell mine for that,
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't have much else.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it'll be more interesting when things kind of restart here. We kind of get through January a little bit, starting to get a little bit more back into quote unquote normal. And we'll take it from there as we get into the new year. I think the new year is going to be a great year for collectors. I think this kind of basing process of that we've talked about of just the market firming up is what we need for long-term healthy growth, and get some new people into the market, continue to educate the market, and just have fun collecting this stuff, because it is really just special stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned this before, but I'm so happy that we're back to this, because it was a lot of work during the busy time, because you're like trying to get ahead of the game, and trying to dig deeper than I don't know. It's nice to kind of be able to take a breath and just kind of enjoy it like we used to. So I don't know if it's nostalgia or it's just like, okay, at least I can buy stuff at good prices again.
Yeah,
So
maybe a little bit of both.
it could be both, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And that's okay.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And but I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I'm glad we made it another year, brother.
I know.
Yeah. So
Yeah, here's to the continued success next year, and more people coming into the hobby. Salute,
yes, sláinte.
Happy New Year, and we'll catch you guys again in at the end of the month on State of the Market, and of course come over to the Discord for lively conversation about lots of things: collection, show off, vintage chat, lots of other sub channels that deal with everything from cricket to crypto. So come on over. It's a pretty good group of people, and everyone's welcome.
Yeah, well said. So happy New Year, everyone, and hopefully we'll see you on the Discord.